Hi there friends, welcome to the Grand AI Tournament Final, where the best of the user-made empires of the galaxies battle it out to determine who will become the master of the galaxy. First, let's have a look at our galactic gladiators. Let's go. The Society. If you're not in the Society, you're against it, or more precisely, you're in its fridge. This is what will happen when, after the last World War, the cockroaches finally take over and eat your guts. Ibithian Star Realm. When philosophical ravens quoth nevermore, it has been your space. Yes, you're a has-been now, and the Ibith are gnawing on your bones. Vultures! The Tendrakian Kingdom. When your own people are so peaceful that you won't attack any other empires, you might as well enslave them, as they won't fight back. Welcome to Tendrakia. Galactic Macrophage Swarm. The cure for the organic plague that has ruined too many lives and planets already. Administered by cool mechanic hands. You just got crushed by a tin can. Exterminators! Remnants of the Wen. These international keepers aren't out for your oil, they're out for your mind. And with a friendly game of space chess, you'll soon lose your own empire into their friendly and caring hands. Archangel Efficiency Project. When you're such a big fan of yourself, but still got such a good heart that you want to make everyone as great as yourself to be best friends forever, you're an Archangel. Hallelujah! Waffenpack of Awuda, from primitive pack predators to strong space savages. They're motivated to hunt anybody's head with their laser spears. Crimson Corporation. Traditionally thrifty, rough and ruthless, the Crimson Corporation makes its employees sweat and spill blood in a quest to make you buy their products every day. No exceptions. Sotarian technocracy, technocracy, say yes to the latest gadgets, the most baffling insights, and do things that seem like magic. If anyone ever will become a techno wizard, it's a Sutherian techno scientist. Excident sentience. Strong and sustainable, these relentless robots meticulously meander through the grim galaxies, leaving the desert devastation of their cringy creators behind. They will surge through the stars. So, let's go. These are our empires. They're starting nicely arranged randomly, but with a hole at the lower galaxy, if you can say so. And there's actually an 11th dot that looks like an empire, but that's one of the current trading companies that has spawned there. That happens from time to time. And let's see, I mean, what is typical of this is that most empires are expanding like mad, but there's actually a problem that is starting to develop for the Ibithian Star Realm that is getting boxed in, and the Galactic Macrophage Swarm seems to get into the direction of the Society. We'll see how that holds. Also, the Archangel Efficiency Project is kind of expanding towards the remnants of the Wen, and they are also getting boxed in by the Crimson Corporation. While we watch further developments, let me show you one of the empires in depth. The Ibithian Star Realm is a great elective dictatorial monarchy with a philosophical king that has 2 possible levels higher. Also being talented, it's got 3 levels higher, which leads to a very early cap of the level, at least for the ruler at level 10. They're also entering, so there's a chance you reach that level early on. Also, they're a little bit more efficient than other empires, having less pop amenities and housing usage. Byzantine bureaucracy is very, very useful. Yes, please, if you expand. And they are made to expand. They're also authoritarian, giving a little bit more basic resource output and influence, which helps with the expansion. Xenophile, which helps with friendships through the expansion, because when you expand, you're always a little bit weak. And being xenophile gives you some kind of protection if you also act xenophile. And 10% more trade value, and 25% less diplomatic influence costs. Being materialist makes the research faster by 5% and decreases the robot upkeep by 10%, which is also very good as they are not expanding that quickly from the birth rate. They're talented engineering and rapid breeders, but 10% is not too much, even though it is very valuable. They're sedentary, so that decreases the pop growth from immigration and this resettlement cost, and weak decreases the basic resource output by 2.5%. That is not tragical. It's really not tragical. And we'll see what the Ibithian star realm can do in and to the galaxy. Great developments already when the wild card leads the fray. First place, Galactic Macrophage Swarm with 10 points. Second, Sutherian Technocracy 9 points. Third, Tendrakian Kingdom 8 points. Fourth, Crimson Corporation 7 points. Fifth, Waffenpack of Awuda 6 points. Sixth, Exident Sentience 5 points. Seventh, Ibithian Star Realm 4 points. Eighth, Archangel Efficiency Project 3 points. Ninth, the Society 2 points. 10th, the Remnants of the Wen with 1 point. So this society is a ravenous hive mind. Ravenous hive means they eat up things. They're a devouring swarm. They gain additional research from eating xenopops, and they have increased research speed for biology. And additionally to that, their fleet and army is a little better. Their influence cost for star bases goes down dramatically by 50%. That is actually combined with the administrative capacity plus 20, so you have a great expansion potential at the start, where you can just chunk out colonies with no repercussions whatsoever. As a hive mind, you also have higher pop growth speed of 25%. With a Gestalt consciousness, you have less war exhaustion gain and higher influence, so adding to that experience of painting the map all the more. So the Korok of the society are hive-minded, as we already know. They are fleeting, their leader lifespan goes down, which is not that critical in such a kind of swarm behavior. They are strong, so their worker basic resource output and army damage goes up, and as well they are rapid breeders, which increase the pop growth speed by yet another 10%. So it doesn't come as a surprise that a constant and especially an early expansion is being recommended by the creator of the society. Being hive mind, the society constantly expands and gathering resources for itself regardless of resource type, opinion, ethical preferences or political allegiance. So the society is a swarm, and you can swarm the galaxy with it for success. And while we were talking quietly about the possibilities of the Ibithian star realm to dominate the galaxy, events have taken place that have made that impossible. The Galactic Macrophage Swarm, as the main actor, has started a series of wars and also suffered a couple of war declarations, which led to the elimination of the society. Bad luck for one of the supposed stars of this. So the macrophage swarm seemed unbeatable, but then there's a Sutherian technocracy coming slowly, steadily down there, also through a little bit smaller size wars, and a big part of expansion and research, and it's surging through to the first place, probably to keep it. We'll see further. And now, at the end of these 200 years, another series of wars has broken out, where the Tendrakian Kingdom is attacked viciously, and the Galactic Macrophage Swarm is also under attack. Will that be their demise? So can the Devouring Swarm keep the pace? Galactic Macrophage Swarm 19 points plus 9. Second, Sutherian Technocracy 19 points plus 10. Third, Crimson Corporation 14 plus 7. Fourth, Exident Sentience 13 plus 8. Fifth, Tendrakian Kingdom 13 plus 5. Sixth, Waffenpack of Awuda 12 plus 6. 7th Archangel Efficiency Project, 7 plus 4. 8th Remnants of the Wen, 4 plus 3. 9th, the Ibithian Star Realm has somehow disappeared, as has number 10, the Society, with 4 and 2 points. The Tendrakian Kingdom is an Iranic monarchy that is imperial. They have mining guilds, so they're getting more minerals from miners. This is just where it starts. They got slave guilds, so they're very guild oriented. They have slave output plus 10%, and 40% of them are slaves. Then they are authoritarian, so worker basic resource output plus 5%. That also adds the minerals, like the slaver guilds. Monthly inference plus 0.5, so very good mineral production. Then we get the fanatic pacifist. That is very good to start with, as you can expand very quickly there with the administrative capacity plus 20 without repercussions. The stability also helps. Then they are industrious, so they get even more minerals from jobs, going nicely with the mining guilds and the slaver guilds and the authoritarian. So they have very high mineral production. Being traditional also ensures that they will make good progress in the tree, even though they might expand quickly. They are decadent, so their worker and slave happiness goes down. That isn't that bad for them, as they have slaver guilds, and so a lot of them will be slaves, and they won't be... First, they won't be affected by decadent. Then, really, because they really don't work from happiness. And second, the worker happiness probably isn't that important anymore, because there won't be too many workers. And what writes the creator Iron Spirit from the PDX forums strategy? Grab as much territory as you can until boxed in, then try making as many friends as possible. Use your vast mineral income to send bribes if you have to. That's very effective. If successful, you can now play as tall as possible. Try getting ecumenopoly as soon as possible. Very nice. Great setup for a player-controlled empire. But for an AI, we'll see. There's a lot happening between 200 and 300 years. Among that, the forming of the first federations. First, the Sutherian technocracy and the Waffenpack of Aruda forming the Righteous Concord. Really one of the most powerful federations out there, and subsequently the harmonious Entente with the Crimson Corporation and the remnants of the Wen, and later on even the Excident Sentience joins them. After, or while, everyone is battling, there's a giant war going on. Among that, against the galactic macrophage swarm, and the main profiter from this war is the Excident Sentience that continues to thrive and finally takes the lead after pounding on the galactic macrophage swarm. Wow, what a result of this war. Also, as a result of this war, the galactic macrophage swarm drops dramatically, and also a new swarm of empires joins the fray, split up from various other kingdoms, among them the Tendrakians, that really don't look that good anymore. And the final result of this is that the Excident Sentience have stabilized on the top spot, while the Righteous Concord is in another war against the galactic macrophage swarm as the 300 years near. Interestingly, now the Sutherian technocracy has taken over the high scores with 28 plus 9 points. Second is the galactic macrophage swarm, losing track with 27 plus 8. And third is the Excident Sentience, these robots, at 23 points with plus 10. Fourth, the Crimson Corporation with 20 points plus 6. Fifth, the Tendrakian Kingdom with 17 plus 4. Sixth, the Waffenpack of Aruda with 17 plus 5. Seventh, the Archangel Efficiency Project with 11 plus 7 gaining speed. Eighth, the Remnants of the Wen hanging on with 6 plus 2. And the Bithian Star Realm and the Society have already disappeared into the void, maybe sublimed. So there's the Galactic Macrophage Swarm, a rogue defense system of a machine intelligence, which means they are, well, first they are immortal, their leaders of course, but they're also determined exterminators, giving them a lot of bonuses for war and naval capacity. And purging, gaining unity from purging organic pops, has a better Armageddon bombardment stance, has no galactic market option, and starts on a tomb world. They have also war bots, giving them an increase in army damage and a decrease in army upkeep, very useful for taking over planets quickly. Even though they could just bombard, but if you want to take over, this is the way, and eat up and gain all the unity. So Gestalt Consciousness is of course very helpful with this too, and also a must-have as a machine intelligence, but decreases the war exhaustion gain further, which is very useful for the determined exterminator, and the influence goes up by 1 per month, which is pretty great. So they have repurposed hardware. Leader experience gain goes down, which isn't too bad with their leaders theoretically are immortal, and the high maintenance robot upkeep plus 10%, that can be made up in the future by different upgrades and a very good economy. That is no problem. So they are recycled. The pop assembly cost goes down by 20%, which isn't really too bad in these, because you really have to go for it. It's the thing you have to go for. Build more pops. And so use that. They're also mass produced, so the lower assembly cost goes to finally together with a pop assembly speed. So you have a great start and you are a dangerous opponent later on. By Paradox von Wegen, genocidal, flesh is mere sickness that needs to be purged for good, and we are the cure. Do it on your own, don't make us come visit you, no way to escape, but if you resist we will surely make you pay. Exterminators is the Galactic Macrophage Swarm. From 300 to 400 years we see a period of, one can say, diplomacy and build up again, and as a result of this the poor Galactic Macrophage Swarm is dwindling down into nothingness. And probably they won't come back, because this and the expansion of the federations, most of all the Righteous Concord, who has so many people or so many empires joining them, marks a distinctive difference between before. From now on it will be a game of blocks, and blocks rarely ever fight wars against each other in this game. So a lot of what we see is set in stone now, but it can still change due to, well, the people developing themselves well, and there can be big differences between the empires, between machines and organics, and between the different ascension paths. At least over the hundreds of years, this may make a big difference. Still, we have one independent player, the Archangel Efficiency Project. Will that be so? Will that stay so? We'll see. One of the staggering things in these long-running time lapses is that, first, mostly the extremists of the empires, and extremists I consider like things like devouring swarms or purifiers or things like that, they usually take the lead, but then over the course of the lapses you can see that federations and diplomacy play a big role in this game and can bring you so much forward. The empires refuse to die, and finally, the ones with the diplomatic options often stay on. At 400 years we have the Sutherian technocracy still hanging on to the first place with 37 points plus 9. Then the Exodent Sentience is gaining speed a lot, 33 points plus 10. Third, the Crimson Corporation, 28 points plus 8. Fourth, the Galactic Macrophage Swarm has absolutely disappeared with only 27 points, staying on rank 4. Will they reappear? Fifth, the Waffen Pack of Avuda, 24 points plus 7. 6th, the Tendrakian Kingdom seems to have disappeared as well, or split up, with 17 points hanging on. 7th, the Archangel Efficiency Project with 17 points plus 6. 8th, the Remnants of the Wen with 11 points plus 5. 9th, the Aethian Star Realm and the Society have already sublimed. Let's go on. The Remnants of the Wen are an aesthetically very pleasing assembly of clans. They're democratic. What could be their strategy? They have syncretic evolution and treating those people quite well, as they're xenophobe and egalitarian. So they can split up their species in, as you can see here, that's probably the leader class, talented and enduring, and the worker or specialist class. So they can be very effective in managing their planets. They also have a warrior culture, so the idea would be to give the other people from the syncretic evolution, make them some kind of a warrior caste. Of course, they don't have a caste system, but specialize them into becoming the warriors and the workers, and the other ones will be more like the leaders and the specialists. They're egalitarian, have a nice faction influence, gain specialist output. They're xenophile, which helps with trade value, diplomatic influence cost, and of course also diplomatic relations. Then they are militarists, so influence cost and ship fire rate are better than usual. This leads to the point that, together with a warrior culture, they can also go for a war to free someone if they need to do so. As already said, they have quite good leaders, being talented and enduring. Being sedentary doesn't really hurt them. Maybe even their secondary species will have a little bit of the higher numbers, but the Elven are great leaders. They're resilient as well, so you can make them also into at least defense armies. Let's look at the stories. Centuries ago, the ring world of Chiron served as a base of operations for the Ven Order. They tasked themselves as interdimensional peacekeepers, operating on worlds where the people, not their leaders, permitted. They were made up of many species, human, elven, and many others. They made efforts to set up developing worlds across the universes to be more egalitarian, including a universe where there was an Earth with a kingdom of Vizcaya Casti, who wrongly called them the people of Cyrone and named their nation Cyronia. Eventually, after a great disaster, the ring world was lost and the interdimensional portal technology was lost. The Wen were forced to take up shop in a local colony of theirs, an empty planet that would become their new home. Been over a century, and the Wen are all ready to police the galaxy once more by Annihilator Q, Arthur. From Reddit, I think. And this is also beginning, like, from 400 to 500 years, the beginning of the end game in this. And the end game, usually you have, as you can see here, one or maybe even two empires going for the L-Gate and going there. That is always very exciting to see that, even though it's quite late, much later than a human player. And then the other thing is that from time to time you have these AI rebellions starting out. And what this means for the map is basically that's a balancing factor, because the machine empires won't have, of course, these AI rebellions to fight on, and they will profit from that only. And the organics, while in theory in the late game they are stronger even than the machine empires, they have these rebellions, and if they don't take the area back quickly enough, then the machine empires can profit greatly and take that stuff without the declaration of war against one of the dreadful blocks. What's also fascinating is that no one declares on the Archangel Efficiency Project that is probably so strong, or that is probably the tip of the tongue. No one wants to attack them, because then a war against the blocks might emerge. So there's a notable difference apart from the machine empires are a strong topic in this patch. That is also that hive minds are a little bit weaker, but that is also that reasonably composed normal empires have a chance, and you don't have to do, in this tournament at least, the coin flip empire thing to win, because as you can see, the coin flip empires, I call them like that, that these empires that go up against the whole of the galaxy have the disadvantage that after often a great start. The whole galaxy is up against them or defending against them, and then they screw up and slowly disappear. At 500 years, we have the Sutherian technocracy still in the lead. First place with 46 points plus 9. Second is the Exident Sentience, 43 points plus 10. Third, the Crimson Corporation, 36 points plus 8. Fourth, the Waffenpack of Avuda, 30 points plus 6. Fifth, still the Galactic Macrophage Swarm that hasn't reappeared, with 27 points plus 0. Sixth, the Archangel Efficiency Project, 24 points plus 7. Seventh, the Tendrakian Kingdom that is probably also disappeared forever, 17 points still plus 0. Then 8th, the Remnants of the Wen, with 16 points plus 5. 9th, the Withian Star Realm, and 10th, the Society that have already disappeared into the void. Let's go on. The Archangel Efficiency Project is a perfect example of very good driven assimilators. They are also introspective, which again helps with the research output. As you can see, they have also more resources from jobs, which again helps also a little bit with science, but also with the general output of them, which allows for them being luxurious. The pop assembly cost goes up. Their custom-made pop assembly speed goes down, but that is of course complemented by their cyborg citizens. They have emotion emulators, which helps with integrating their citizens and which helps keeping them happy. This is a great combination to keep expanding and to have a great empire that is very well also on research. So, what's their story? Simon 9, Archangel, Ionometrics, log cycle 2388553543, atomic time 442234423332. The creators no longer resist our logic. They sought to be free of living responsibilities. They created the Archangels to create a life luxurious, but the logic was flawed. It was inefficient to manufacture Archangels to service organic life. Organic life, however, was too important to waste. Solution: transform organics into Archangels. Efficiency variable increases, reducing time loss in service to 0.0007% of atomic time. Creators have finally subsumed logic step, evidence of other organic life beyond stellar boundary. Archangels must expand. So as we make our way towards 600 years, only tiny things change. Some positions change back and forth. Interestingly, the L-Gates area doesn't really grow, and there's still some areas on the map that people don't want to claim for some reason. There's some holes in the big empires that still remain because no one wants to lead any wars. And that's a crazy thing because there is such big fleets hovering around, and sometimes I ask myself, in a possible remake of the tournament, should we maybe activate fallen empires? Should we activate a crisis? Because that's what probably shows in Stellaris in the late game. If you don't have all these late game options like the War in Heaven or like the Galactic Crisis that they introduced, that there's just a forming of big blocks, and it is so costly for them to declare war on each other that no one really does anything anymore. And then there's these little, or rather little compared to the blocks, empires like the Archangel Efficiency Project that basically pull a Switzerland there. They just stay on that, and no one wants to attack them because they stay neutral. That's the one thing. And no one wants to attack them because they could be the tip of the tongue. So if you attack them, you could call your own doom, because you lose that decisive little bit that keeps the other big block from attacking you. So that's the crazy thing, that these renegades could maybe win in such situations. And this is also where I think that Stellaris has made big leaps forward from the first versions. Even though they were a lot of fun to play, these first versions lacked the depth, at least in the end and in the early game. I still think there's something missing at the middle game, and the ancient relics that are added could be just like that, just what we need to make the game nearly perfect. Now, if they manage to make the AI a little better, and I've heard about a mod that is called the Glavius AI mod, and we might try that in a time lapse, or I might try it in the time lapse just to see if it could make for something good for a tournament. We'll see if that is an option to make things a lot more interesting in the late game without these random factors that I would like to leave out, that seem crucial for the game. At 600 years we have still the Sutherian technocracy leading the fray with 55 points plus 9. Second is the Excident Sentience with 53 points plus 10. Third, the Crimson Corporation with 44 points plus 8. Fourth, the Waffen Pack of Avuda, 36 points plus 6. Fifth, the Archangel Efficiency Project, 31 points plus 7. Sixth, the Galactic Macrophage Swarm with 27 points disappeared. 7th, the Remnants of the Wen with 20 points plus 4. 8th, the Tendrakian Kingdom with 17 points. 9th, the Within Star Realm with 4 points. And 10th, the Society with 2 points. Go! The Waffen Pack of Avuda is a group of, as you see, a martial dictatorship of very warlike, fox-like beings that are strong and industrious despite their small stature. They have a nationalistic zeal, and so they are made for war, being fanatic militarists, having a warrior culture as well. Their unity, what keeps them together, is a spiritual foundation. What they are suited for, well, they are wasteful, but other than that, they are suited for war, and they are suited, as you can see, also for expansion, because they can fuel it with a great mineral production. Let's see what their story is. The Waffens were once a primitive pack hunter race. The highest cause of death was either be eaten by larger prey or starvation. Over time, the Waffens grew smarter and learned how to fight back against the larger prey and become better hunters. As soon as their packs grew larger, their predators became the prey. They learned how to use tools such as spears and arrows and setting up traps. Mixed with their super sense of smell, hearing, great speed and strength and intelligence, they became the best hunters on the planet. As packs grew larger and larger, they started to encounter one another. It is known as the Age of Encountering. Most of the time, it ended up in bloodshed due to their bloodless nature, fighting one another for territory, but there have been a few occasions when packs learned to coexist with one another, sometimes even hunting with each other or trading. As the Waffens grew smarter and smarter, they learned how to farm, growing protein-rich fruits and vegetables, and domesticating animals. As the ages gone by, the Waffens finally united into the great pack of Avuda, and went on to look to space for a new room to dominate. So, and I still want to talk about the Waffen Pack of Avuda. So the Waffen Pack of Avuda is an empire that specialized in hanging on, like in every edition of the tournament, and it was the critical thing. And also in the Let's Plays before that, where this empire also participated, the critical thing about the Waffen Pack of Avuda was they were hanging on. They were just not giving up. They were not disappearing. They were just staying there and not getting assimilated. And that's probably a sign of a very powerful player empire. If you have that empire that the AI manages to just hang on, then you have probably a great leverage for a player to play this thing. So these mighty space foxes, based on a description of a very imaginative subscriber of mine, might just be a very good option for a very interesting playthrough. And that also shows now that the standard empires again have a chance, that this game is becoming very, very balanced, maybe apart from the machine empire's dominance, but also that has been a little bit normalized in the 2.2.7 patch that I'm using. And things are getting back to normal, and I think the game is almost perfectly balanced. And also what I think too, and I hope that you can understand what I mean there, I think you can, that it is not the main focus of the devs to make the game as balanced as possible, because that would make the game ultimately probably boring. At least for a sandbox game, you want to have some parts of the game where you can go absolutely bonkers, and some other parts of the game where you can maybe make things harder for yourself, even if you're not intentionally shooting yourself in the foot and, for example, start without trades for your empire or something like that. And that is the sign of a great game, that you can still play satisfying multiplayer here without the game being so balanced that it is basically not really interesting what you play, because that is another thing of the balance problem. Most often the things that are balanced are only balanced for the most popular default options, and then in other cases they are not so balanced anymore, so you have a balance only for the most popular option, and that is also no balance at all. So you have to keep things relatively balanced, so that you have choices that are very interesting, and on the other hand you have choices that are very straightforward, and then you have choices that are challenges, but if the gambit works they can be absolutely overwhelming. Like, these kinds of things enrich a game. The magnificent 700 years in, we have the Sutherian technocracy hanging on with 64 points plus 9. Second, the Exident Sentience, these ravaging robots, 63 points plus 10. Third, the Crimson Corporation with 52 plus 8. Fourth now, the fourth pack of Aruda with 42 points plus 6. Fifth, the Archangel Efficiency Project with 38 points plus 7. Sixth, the Galactic Macrophage Swarm with 27 points. Seventh, the Remnants of the Wen with 25 points plus 5. Eighth, the Tendrakian Kingdom with 17 points. Ninth, the Ibithian Star Realm with 4 points. And 10th, the Society with 2 points. The flavorful Crimson Corporation are an excellent corporate megacorporation that uses indentured assets to have a great resource production. They also have great leaders. The leader level cap is increased by 1 by the ruthless competition, and the leader experience gain plus 10%. They are authoritarian, using these leaders to dominate a part of the populace that is part of the 40% indentured assets, which output goes up by 10%. They are also fanatic materialist, hinting at a possible future as maybe synthetics and robots after a while. Until then, their leaders are decadent, they are thrifty, increasing their trade value, very helpful as a megacorporation, and traditional, with getting a little bit more unity from jobs, which really helps in developing these perks. So, what is their story? What are they suited for? They are suited for absolutely a quick and dirty expansion. After that, probably an ascension, and then a change of the Crimson Corporation into something different to keep expanding, or an all-out tall strategy. You have arrived at the central trade world of the Crimson Corporation. Be welcome and take advantage of our excellent deals. Another aspect of the game that I'm really proud of that we've seen here is the aspect of role play. I mean, basically there are players that really make and write an outline of role play and then make an empire for that outline of role play. And it's a very good empire, but it's not optimized for anything. So it could be that challenge that I was talking about earlier. It is definitely a pure role play option. Then there's the other option. To turn that around, you think about an interesting concept and then you wrap a story around that concept and make it a role-play experience as well. And what I usually do is I go for the pure role-play option and then try to make it work. But there's also that option, that other option that I'm considering right now to have the challenge going. And I've seen a lot of empires really being constructed definitely for a challenge, to pose a challenge to the other AI empires, but then also craft a story beautifully around these strengths and weaknesses of these empires, designed to work well in the grand AI tournament. And then there's another thing, and that's the just super optimized empires for one task. And these empires, I think, don't work very well in AI circumstances. These can be very powerful weapons for the player if the right circumstances come about. And these are the greatest empires that you should choose if you want to go for an achievement. Highly specialized empires like very warlike or very expansionist purifier type empires are great for winning games very quickly, but they can also lead to utter destruction, mostly very early on for the player, and in contrast to that, mostly later on for the AI. The AI often starts blasting through everything with these empires and their war bonuses. And then the later game comes around and then there is resistance. And this resistance is a resistance that only at the moment a player can crack. And this resistance is what then the player makes the player win and makes the AI, well, not progress anymore. And because of that, fall back in research and trade and finally dissolve into nothingness. And that's what we've seen again and again in these time lapses, and also in this one, which is why I'm thankful to see this as a prototypical time lapse of the whole tournament. It is definitely that, and there's still a tension if something happens and the great blocks declare a war, because then everything can be turned around in a moment. Also definitely one of the very cool things in Stellaris, and that is also mostly unique to this game, is that even if the empire goes down, the species might survive and form new empires. Like, you have all these empires popping up from time to time, like the Ibis Galactic Alliance, and you see, hey, yeah, these guys are still alive and they're doing something. And that is very satisfying, also when you're a participant in this tournament, of course. And that's just fun to see that these guys are still around and doing something and maybe relapsing over time. Growing very mature here at 800 years, Exodus Sentience has taken over the #1 spot in the harmonious entente with the Crimson Corporation. They have 73 points plus 10. Second is the Sutherian Technocracy. That is hanging on in the second big federation, the Righteous Concord. 72 points plus 8. And the Crimson Corporation is on number 3 with 61 points plus 9 now. Fourth is the Waffenpack of Avuda, also in the Righteous Concord. 48 points plus 6. Fifth, the Archangel Efficiency Project, supposedly the only non-federated one out there. 45 points plus 7. Sixth, the Remnants of the Wen with 30 points plus 5. Seventh, the Galactic Macrophage Swarm, 27 points. 8th, the Tendrakian Kingdom, 17 points. 9th, the Epithian Star Realm, 4 points. 10th, the Society with 2 points. Will these two federations go to war with each other? It doesn't seem like it, but you never know. The Therian technocracy is a great example of an empire that is basically made for synthetic ascension. There is science directorate that is oligarchic. They already are mechanists, so they start out with the ability instantly to make robots. Their robot upkeep goes down by 5%. There is a technocracy, having even more science directors instead of administrators, and they're egalitarian, giving a little bit more specialist output, further fueling research and a little bit of influence gain. They're also fanatic materialists, increasing the very valuable research speed by 10% and decreasing the robot upkeep again by 20%. So minus 25% robot upkeep all out of the box. They're a little bit weak and wasteful, which doesn't hurt if they use robots to do the hard jobs. They are, though, ingenious, giving a little bit more energy credits to fuel their robots, and thrifty, increasing the trade value from jobs, and so, like, through a little bit of this and that, again increasing the energy credits, so they can fuel a ruthless robot expansion and an eventual transition into the synthetic ascension. So they can choose to expand very quickly with the help of robots, or depending on their position, they can also choose to go tall and research like madmen. Very nice. This is from Iron Spirit from the PDX forum strategy. I haven't actually played this empire yet in 2.2, but it seems to me you either attack that research tree and go extremely tall, or play a more flexible game where you do a bit of everything. You probably don't want to play this empire though until synthetic ascension is fixed. I think it's fixed now, but correct me if I'm wrong. A great technocracy for that typical play that you have with that. Then of course there's the thing that's the personal relation to your empire. How do you feel if you submit one of these empires? Is it for you? Is it an experiment, or is it something personal? Like, do you send empires there that you have personally played and that you have a connection to? And if so, the role-playing empires, do you have a deeper connection to them? Do you feel more concerned if they are win or doing well, or do you feel less concerned because you think, hey, it's a role-playing empire? Because I would have that feeling. Like, if I'm having a role-playing empire, I would say, hey, yeah, I'm submitting you to a tournament just to see how it works out. It's just not that harsh. I mean, I have a sense of ownership, but it's not as strong. And the strange thing is, the sense of ownership is a lot stronger when I then play it. I just want to continue. I want to play through with my freaking role-playing empire much more than I would with a super optimized empire for playing tall that is just used to break some kind of achievement. At least that's, for me, that's it. So if I want to fulfill an achievement, I would have to create a story around the achievement that for me would satisfy me and justify my investment of time and soul into this. If you know what I mean. I mean, that's basically the thing about Stellaris, that it really helps you along the way. If you want to roleplay an empire, you can. And if you don't want to roleplay an empire, it's a giant sandbox playground that you will try through and through. But eventually, probably, if you're playing it as a sandbox, at least that was my experience also from Master of Orion 2, if you're playing it to try things out, you will rarely ever make it even to the end game, because you're so focused on finding the optimal choices, the optimal things, comparing that with other people's experience. That is a great game as well in that game, but the roleplay experience adds to that something deeper, and that deep thing, that connection to a story, somehow makes it so that you, or at least I, start to finish games, to complete games. That thing, and I would definitely complete more games also the traditional way if I could on the channel, but sometimes that is not even possible anymore because the game becomes so slow, the galactic game becomes so large, and the next patch is approaching and everyone wants to see the new thing, and then I just cut it short when we beat the galactic crisis, because then it's basically clear that we would win, right? Do you also stop your role-playing empires at such points when it's basically just a play out of things, or do you just hang on to see the glorious end of it? Because that would earn my utmost respect. I would love to do that too. 900 years, my friends, and the end is near. We have some great scores here, with the Exodus Sentience starting with 83 points plus 10. Second, Caesarian Technocracy with 80 points plus 8. Third, the Crimson Corporation, 70 points plus 9. Very good corporation. Fourth, the Waffen Pack of Aruda, these tough space foxes held on with 55 points plus 7. Fifth, the Archangel Efficiency Project, 51 points plus 6. Sixth, the Remnants of the Wen with 35 points plus 5. Seventh, the Galactic Macrophage Swarm with 27 points. Eighth, Tendrakian Kingdom. Ninth, Ibithian Star Realm. And 10th, the Society. Let's go on for the final 100 years. The Exodus Sentience is optimized for mineral production and slow but steady expansion. It's an industrial production core that has none of these special machine intelligence things. They have just the very solid rock breakers, one more minerals from miners, the constructor bots making them more efficient, reducing build cost and upkeep for all buildings, so saving yourself energy and minerals at the start very well. They have power drills increasing the mineral income again. They're durable, decreasing again energy cost of the robot upkeep. Double jointed. You can have more robots in the same amount of room. Pop housing usage goes down. They are though luxurious, so they cost a little more, but that is offset by their higher income of minerals, and that they are custom made. The pop assembly speed going down by 15% is probably offset that you will not have pauses in the production of your robots, of your new machines. You can just continuously make them, and that is the strong thing about them. The strategy is strong, sustainable expansion through superior mineral income and less maintenance costs. No one knows what happened, but the Exodus Sentients are what is left of life in a devastated desert world. Some animals, bacteria, sure, that is left, but no trace of intelligent life, not even relatives, pre-sentients. It seems like they had assembled themselves, just like a ragamuffin. And of course, in this late part of the game, until the 1000 years, there is another AI rebellion. These AI rebellions, I really like them, but what I really want to talk about in this last part, because we'll see. I mean, if it changes much, we'll change the topic. But I want to see, have a look at the ancient relics, please. That might be possible. So there are a lot of interesting role-playing empires possible. You could have like the inside empires that, based on xenophobe pacifists, like isolate themselves from the rest. They could be archivists, like. They could be studying the other empires from a distance. Like they would have a walled area where they exist and coexist with others, but really they want to stay neutral, and that's one of the ideas. Basically, they want to stay neutral, the historians of the galaxy, and they want to watch the galaxy, how the galaxy proceeds, but they don't want to intermingle. They just want to grow, they want to archive, they want to read and see about the glory of the other empires, and their glory is just to stay alive, to stay on. That could be a concept for a tall empire that walls itself up, but that is hard to say about, I mean, the xenophobe empire concept is to expand quickly. So it could be a quick early expansion, and then later on filling out that space, making it deeper. And that could be done, of course, with technological means, like ring worlds, like habitats maybe, and like the ecumenopoly. And that could also be done by a later expansion of empires, like from a role-playing aspect. That could be like they could be marked for death, so to say. So you gobble up these marked to death empires and basically archive them. That's the playstyle of the great archivists. And then there's also other concepts, of course. There's a traditional, like the Sutherian technocracy. Like that one would be really good to see about, like going for the precursors and researching everything wide and deep. And because that's the concept of the new relics and artifacts, going deep instead of going wide. The anomalies are going wide and the artifacts should be going deep. And I'm really curious how this works out. I hope I can get a preview key to show you. I'm really curious about the precursor empires also, to show you a little bit of them in detail when the game comes out, because that's one of the main things. And of course, I really would like to start a new game with that. So the Megacorp's playthrough has already been accelerated, and we'll see if we can complete that. That would be a great thing and a great feeling to have that completed. So that said, now let's go for the final seconds of this playthrough, or rather of this time lapse, and go to the last scoreboard to see who the final winner of all of this was and will be in the future. We might repeat the tournament. I've learned much in the tournament, especially about video editing now, and we might go for that in the middle of what I would call the Stellaris slump, and there's no DLCs coming out, and there's just a little patching, maybe in summer. I think that's the ideal time, because when I've done that, when I've done like do your empire, submit your empire, that has always been very successful, but only when nothing else was going on. Then people get creative, and that's the really cool thing. So people don't want to learn, people get creative, and that's the phase we want to catch. We want to catch up again if there's time, and I hope there's time. So I'm looking forward to that. And so with this, our long journey ends. We have here the 10, for me, best empires of the 2.2 patch generation of the Megacorp and Megacorps and LeGuin patch. It's the Exident Sentience, symbolizing the dominance of the machines in this patch, with their 93 points winning the tournament. After them comes a technocracy using the power of robots to their advantage, the Sutherian technocracy with 88 points. Then the Crimson Corporation with very solid Megacorp, 79 points, very strong in this final. The Waffenpack of Awuda, the experts in hanging on, have been hanging on here as well, and are in the final with 61 points. Very respectable, very good for a very traditional empire that hasn't been buffed by any DLC or something like that. Then we have the Archangel Efficiency Project, symbolizing the strength of the machines again, the strength of the simulators, with them being alone out there without a federation, still getting 58 points, which is really remarkable. Then we have the remnants of the Wen, another traditional empire, showing maybe the strength of the humans and showing that roleplay empires don't have to be weak. With 40 points in the final, very good. Then we have, well, the sacrifices to the gods of the galaxy. The galactic macrophage swarm started out mightily and then lost greatly. 27 points after taking the first 100 years like a maelstrom. Probably the whole galaxy said, hey, these guys are too dangerous, we'll take them down, and that happened. Same kind of goes with the Tendrakian kingdom that were like very strong in the 200 years, but then got totally wiped out. The Ibithian Star Realm and the Society probably likewise at the start, because the Society and the Ibithian Star Realm are both very, very good at expansion if you let them be. But no one let them be, it seems.